I am so bad at this. I don't know
Well,
what I'm doing here.
the broadcast is live.
Yeah, it told me it's live. Okay, look at all of these comments. Hi, friends. Uh, I don't know how y'all are seeing this, but y'all have to excuse me. I'm trying to. Oh, there it goes. So I'm trying to figure it out. I have my phone pulled up just so I can see what the people on the other end are seeing. Hi guys. Oh, there it goes. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. I have my phone. Hi everyone. Sorry guys. We are waiting for the rest of the panel to get here. I just didn't want it to be dead air, but I could see you guys' comments, and so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and log on. So hey Kelly, hey Chanel, hey Anicia, hey Tiffany, hey Lisa, hey Chinsia, hey Lisa. Um so it's just being a den relay for right now, but we're waiting for everyone else to join the broadcast. Hey Bernadette, hey Erica. But yeah, y'all, this is gonna be fun. I'm a little bit nervous, but you know, fangirl, stand girl, we're gonna have a good time. As y'all can see, I am very super humble. My backdrop is, you know, not only a stack of my own books, but also a screenshot of the one time that I was on Oprah.com. So, you know, super humble around these parts. We mad humble around these parts. But it's good to see everybody in the comments and all that. I don't want to really get too deep. Hey, everybody. I'm seeing the comments roll up. Hey, Shantara, Steph, Kesia. I hope I said that correctly. I'm really bad.
Mississippi Diamond. She better cut it out. Don't faint. You're going to miss something.
Sarah, Bernadette, Jilly Jill. Oh, Chanel, stop, please. All those exclamation points. I cannot. But yeah, man, so I guess I can just like give a primer for what this is going to be, what I hope it will be tonight. Obviously a really fun conversation, particularly centered on the narration that these wonderful people and their golden throats do in the world of Black indie romance in specific. I have a few questions just for the panel at large, and then I'm very much of the mind that I don't want it to be too scripted or too stilted. I really want it to be a conversation, you know, wherein everyone is getting a chance to speak their piece and everything like that. So while I do want my questions to kind of frame it and like move the conversation along, I don't want it to be sort of like a strict up and down Q&A. Because I just find those to be boring, if I'm being perfectly honest. So yeah, that's that. I really wish that StreamYard was more intuitive for I just want it to like give me a pop-up when other people are like waiting to be led into the live. But yeah, man. Okay, let's see who else has come that I missed. Is it Janan? Miss Janan? Hi. I'm not a dim relay, but I'm gonna speak to you anyway. Oh man. So yeah. I mean, I guess we can just start having this conversation, and then as the others cycle in,
they better come on.
Kind of back if we need to or whatever. So really briefly, I just want to kind of talk about my foray into audiobooks as far as being a listener. I was not really an avid listener of audiobooks before maybe 2.5 years ago, when a lot of my peers in the Black indie romance circles started getting them produced. And I was like, okay, well, I loved reading these books, so naturally I'm going to go ahead and, hey friend, go ahead and, you know, listen to these things. And so the first book that I listened to that you were on was actually an Alexandria House book. It was one of the McLean books, and don't get me to lying about which one, because that would just, I don't want to do that.
I think it's Let You Love Me. I think that's the first one.
Yeah, Let Me Love You. Yeah, Big South. Big South and no.
Big South. Everybody loves them some Big South.
Everybody loves Big South. So can you give me like some of your like first impressions when you got the material and like you were just reading through, because I make the assumption that you guys sort of like read through just to get a feel for the material before you get into it. Because can you tell me like some of your first impressions when you got the material?
I was cracking up.
She's so
Like
funny.
the writing is so, it's clever, it's fun. It could be a movie, like,
Yeah.
or a television show of characters. It really could. I can't remember everybody's book that I do, but I remember that because I just had so much fun, especially with South and Joe, and so the relationships with the brothers and their sister who got the half. So that's what I remember. I just remember the language and having fun. It just reminded me of a movie. It wasn't too over the top erotica, but it just felt normal. It's just like how we talk. It's just, when you with your peoples and you still had this mix of these educated people that's doing great stuff, and then you get with your homies and then you flip it, and it's just regular day, just everyday people that were just fun and clever, and they had their stuff going on and they had their issues, but I really enjoyed the humor is what I really enjoyed, the humor in the writing.
So it's funny that you bring up language because I'm a complete nerd. Like words are like not only like my life's work, but like my passion. And so one of the things that I really appreciate, particularly in indie Black romance, is like that space for writers to be able to play with language in the ways that we do just as we speak amongst ourselves, the code switching, AAV, all that stuff. And it's really kind of refreshing, in my opinion, to find people who like write us in the ways in which like the dualities are shown and it is not like stark differences. So you mentioned the language is one way when you at the crib with your friends, family, whatever, but then when you need to do that code switch and move into a more quote unquote professional whatever like capability that you need to be in, like it's very heartening to me in particular because so like as a writer I've kind of been dinged about like letting some of my characters use slang and dropping G's and things like that or whatever, but the fact that you immediately like that was the first thing you honed in on was like, oh, that language felt familiar, it felt like home, like it really sort of brought you back to roots or whatever.
I think it has to be true to you, and you have to have just good writing, period.
Mm-hmm.
So you can drop all the language that you want to drop and still not be a good writer.
Yep.
Or, you know what I mean? And you can make it sound as code switched or intelligent or whatever that's, this thing is, that sounds more professional or corporate and still not be a writer. Or you can mix it up and be fabulous. You know what I mean? So I think in the end, it's not even, it is being true to you and what it is that you want to write and what it is. Thank you. What it is that you want to write or what it is that you want to say. And just, hone in on your skill, whatever your skill is and whatever it is that you're trying to say. So, and if that's true for you and that's what you want to tell, then go ahead and do that. Just, don't try to tell something else and write something that's just not your thing. I mean, you can, but as with anything, work on it.
Yep.
If you want to do something different, then work on it until it becomes innately who you are. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
For sure. Welcome to the stream, Miss Wesley Siobhan. How you doing, Wes?
Hi. Hi,
girl. Okay, so y'all listen. Y'all don't understand. I'm having a moment like this fangirl shit, like real life. Like I'm very excited.
Yay, me too.
So Wesley, Adinrele and I were just talking about Alexandria House's work And sort of like one of the hallmarks of her work, and one of the things that like makes it really sort of relatable is, you know, the fact that she's not afraid to play with language and, you know, write us how we be talking, so to speak, you know.
Yes.
Y'all like that code switch. And so in like sort of staying in that same lane or vein, with some of the work that you've done in narrating for folks like CCJ or SBS, Sabrina B. Scales, or Stephanie Nicole Norris, like, can you speak to some of that, about like how like fun it is to sort of be able to like play with the language and really get into it, and you know, adapt to those characters and how they speak?
Yeah, I think from the very beginning, hey girl. I think from the very beginning, it just felt like home. You know, like my first book was Annie Up, and I just felt just like I felt like I was with family. And when I read Naughty Nasty by Christina C. Jones, that's when I really felt like, okay, these my people. Because she has this one scene, like this Christmas scene. It's like during the holidays.
I'm gonna interrupt you. I'm sorry, really quickly. You mean Sabrina B. Scales?
Huh? That's
you mean Sabrina B. Scales?
What did I say?
Christina C. Jones. It's because everybody got 3 names.
I did. Girl, I was thinking Sabrina so hard. But I did Annie Up first, and then I did Naughty Nasty by Christina C. I did it again. I did do it. My bad. Girl, anyway, I've been at obedience class with my dog. Forgive me. Sabrina B. Scales wrote Naughty and Nasty. My point is the scene where all the family is together, and it's aunties up in the kitchen with the nieces, and everybody just cracking on each other. They talking about what's on the table, and it's not just the language, it's also the relationships and the way people relate together that just felt like home to me. So it just feels good to be able to do work where I feel like I know these people. I know, how my uncle sounds and how the aunties are. And so it's just, I will just sum it up like that. It feels like home.
Okay. So, Ebony, okay. Okay, wow. That's, Chintzia, that's right. They are a star-studded cast. I'm just here, I'm a, what you call it? I'm an extra. So we're sort of talking about the ways in which like the language in a lot of the Black indie romance novels sort of feels like home or, familiar. And so if you want to speak to any of that, feel free to go ahead and chime in with your 2 cents.
Ooh, yeah, I concur with what I heard at the tail end of Wesley's comment. It's just like, these are families. These are people in our community that we know and or are familiar with. And so giving them voice, it's accessible and it's fun and it's refreshing to, think of who I'm going to base this person off of, or, who I'm going to channel as best I can for this or that character. Yeah.
So that is a perfect segue to a question that's actually on my little list of questions here. And that is, and y'all can answer this in any order, either one of y'all. When you come up with like archetypes or sort of like character inspirations for different people who may be in the book, like where do you draw that inspiration from?
So I start with characters that I know and love from like television, just certain archetypes. Like for me, Jennifer Lewis is the archetype of for me, really the Black auntie. Sometimes she's the mom, but oftentimes she's like an aunt. I'll lean to like a Lynn Whitfield. Forgive me if I'm saying people's names wrong, because now I'm all like flustered, or like Keith David, like those people that are in our industry that kind of have that fit certain archetypes. But then also from my family, that's why I initially pulled a lot of people from like, okay, let me bring in my uncle and my little cousins, and just bringing in people that I felt like would be a good fit for the character.
Okay.
I think for me, I don't know. It's one of those things, like, I think as any reader, when you read a book, you hear voices. You just kind of hear the writing in your mind of what you think. So anytime you pick up a book, we're all going to hear this differently. And so, well, for me, that's where I start with what I hear. And sometimes I have to take my phone and record it, like just record a quick snippet, because by the time I'm reading it to the time I'm recording it, I want to remember what I did, unless I decide to change something. And then sometimes you go, I'm not really sure where to place this. And then you kind of reach for me, then archetypes. And it really depends on what the writing is, how it informs my decisions, whether, somebody is older, they're younger, are they a teenager, are they a young mom, is it the grandmom, do I have all three of them in the room, grandma, mom, and the daughter, the three friends. And so, and what's the difference in their language and how they speak? Some tend to have a little more of this, some tend to just be a little more, just straightforward. Some tend to be a little more shy and timid. And what does that sound like in my ears as I'm reading it, the author's words? And so my characters kind of get informed that way. And then sometimes it'll remind me of someone, and I go, oh my gosh, that's just like such and such. Or like the uncle,
Uncle Lee Chester.
Yes, he oh my gosh, what's his name? I'm sorry, he's passed away. But I'm gonna take it back. I think it was
John Witherspoon you talking about?
Yes. I was like, that's John. That's you can hear it in the language, that personality. And so then you take that and say, I'm going to use that to inform this character, to try to, give that little bit, if it's there on the page and it reminds you of someone, then you can totally use that. So yeah.
I concur. I'm still figuring some of this out, so I'm listening and
Okay, so
too.
I'm gonna low-key put you on the spot right now, Ebony, because you narrated like one of my favorite series by Christina C. Jones, and it's The Roses, and you bodied that, G. Like, honestly, like, listening to this is my friend and my sister's works, and I'm about to mess up the titles of her books: Reinvention of the Rose and
Rosa Got Away and
Unbroken Rose. That's it.
Yeah,
but listening to those and knowing, like, hearing those characters in my head and then hearing you give voice to them, I was like, okay, like, as the children say now, she understood the assignment. Like, she absolutely understood the assignment. And with those books in particular, the sort of like mind frame that you have to get into to embody those women with everything that they have gone through, and trying to think of the way that I'm trying to frame this question in my brain, because I'm all like scrambled eggs right now. But like, how can you tap into sort of the right mind frame to like toe that line between like the vulnerability of those women trying to acclimate themselves back into like society, and then also still like grounding them in strength, because at the root of all of it, like, they were all strong women?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I feel like I've always been like drawn to flawed characters, and it's really been refreshing, even as an actress, but more so in reading now, to see so many Black women that are like full characters, who aren't just like these, one-dimensional people who either have it all together or are a hot mess altogether. You know, so it's refreshing to represent women who are just full representation of the Black women I know, who, you know, some have skeletons that are, you know, bigger than, you know, they can carry or talk about. And yet at the core of it, you know, we're just people. So it's just relating to the humanity. And, you know, we all have vulnerability. We all have, you know, strength. And Christina C. Jones just does such a beautiful job of writing such multidimensional characters that it's easy to just jump right in and, you know, tell the story. So I hope that answered your question.
It absolutely did. That was me, the like dead ass just having a fangirl stangirl moment, because I could not. And all of y'all have narrated for all of my friends, and so like it just makes me happy, because I'm like, yes, like these people have amazing voices and they are imbuing such life into these characters that sort of hits in a different way, right? So when you read words on a page, it's not like it hits you, you know, like you get the emotion and you're caught up in it and you feel it, but then to listen to you guys give voice to those words, in a way, it just like heightens the emotion even more. And like, how does this is me going like woo woo, like hippie, whatever, but like, how does it feel to sort of give voice to, you know, these women and these men who are within the pages of these books? Like, I know that you're not gonna necessarily remember like how you felt when you recorded line 16 in paragraph 9 on page 123. But like just in, I guess, general, in the genre in specific, because I believe that all of you guys have narrated outside of this sort of subgenre or whatever. But I'm sorry, I started rambling and then I lost where I was going. So bad. But sort of like, just how does it feel to sort of like slide into these characters, give voice to them, and know that when it hits readers' ears, it's going to like just heighten their experience with the work as well?
I'll say, as actors, which I believe we all are, every book is different. Every experience is different. So you take it one moment at a time, like theater, like a movie, like television, and you try to stay as honest as possible to what's on the page. And if you are in the moment of whatever is written on the page, then prayerfully that will come through to the listener. So when there are emotional scenes, we go there. There are times my throat has locked up and I've had to stop recording because I'm crying and I need to pull it back so you can hear what I'm saying. And so it is there, but I can't give you the full boo-hoo. We got to get the words out. Or there's the very sensual love scenes. We just got to be honest, and we have to stay open, and we have to go there and have those sensual, beautiful moments that happen in relationships, new, old, funny, whatever that is. And they're all characters. And I think the thing is to just be as honest as possible with your characters and whatever is happening in those conversations and those relationships at that moment, and to just go with that. And, you know, my interpretation of something, which is always scary, you might have seen it differently, you know, or heard it differently in your mind. And I did something. We can never do exactly what you are thinking when you write it. Right. We just hope that we are honoring your words, and that when you do hear it, you go, yes, whatever that is. So I think it's just about having the honest dialogue, whatever's happening in the moment.
I'm just gonna say that y'all hit the mark every time. For me as listener, like every time I'm like, yep, wow, bodied it, amazing, 10 out of 10. Like if I could give it 4 thumbs up, I would.
Right.
So switching gears slightly, what like, because you guys have interactions with the readers through like interactions on social media and things of that nature, what are some of the things that you find that are like compliments or things that people remark upon in your acting performances throughout all of these books that are like becoming sort of like your hallmark in this lane?
And you say this lane, are you speaking to this genre of?
Yeah, in this genre of books. Yep.
I feel like for me, people comment on my male voice a lot. He has definitely, or my male voice. Let's give him a name. I'm gonna give him a name. But he has definitely been requested that he pay child support because he has gotten some folks pregnant. Yeah, and I think, you know, you guys are kind of touching on this earlier about like what those moments, like I think too, just finding the right rhythms and the mode of storytelling that you need to be in to lift the author's words off the page so they feel like, how were you in my head when I wrote this? You know, and I'm sure we've all heard that. It's like, yo, how did you know and find all these nuances? And one thing that I say to authors sometimes is I think you guys underestimate how well written the work is, because you thought the nuance. You might not have put it on the page, but it's inside of the text. So like we as the actor narrator, we get that. So I don't know. I kind of get that sometimes, but I would say right now the main thing is like Wesley's man voice. Oh, some people child support money.
Well, Chanel said that your male voice is expecting twins from her right now. So. And apparently Westman is his name. So you know.
That's funny.
And because I'm completely vain, I'm gonna pop this comment up.
What?
So Tanya said when she heard "fucking fall in love," she had to remember that it was just you. Which, by the way, shout out to you for doing that. I mean, because girl, listen, I had no idea about audiobooks or anything about this world, but I was just like, ooh, like I got to figure out how to get some of these women and men on my books. Like girl, what I got to do. So, I mean, Ademrele and Ebony, don't be surprised, girl, if y'all see me hitting up the inbox like, hey, so do you freelance? Because I got these projects and I think your voice would be amazing on it. And I got my coin together. Let's do it. But all right. Okay. So let me go back to my little question situation here. So do you guys have like any booth rituals? Like before you get started or even like while you're in the midst of recording?
I wish I did. I need some. What do y'all do? Y'all got some rituals? Because I need me. I'm scared to light a candle. I will burn this house down. Like, what do y'all do? Do you like incense? What do y'all do?
The only thing I do is I actually bring the lights down. I don't want too much light.
Yeah.
I always have hot water. So I have water here now. It's not hot, but I like hot water, nothing in it, no teas. And I have mouth spray that I keep on hand, but I don't stop and pray. I just make sure my sentence is right. Make sure everything is right. Cause I don't want the publisher like, this is janky. What is going on? So that is, I mean, set my stuff up, ready to go. Make sure I'm, I take a deep breath and be like, okay, let's get it.
Breath is important.
Here again, let's go.
I love rituals, first of all. So I might have some, but most of it is part of my kind of what I've discovered is kind of claustrophobia. So like being in my new booth in my new place is like anxiety inducing. So I've done a lot. Like I put up little lights in there that I can change the blinking to like soothe me or calm me. And I procrastinate because I don't want to be stuck in the little room. So, but I'll get tea. I have apples. I have water. I'll take like music breaks whenever I need them to like just jam out on a song. When Wesley and I met once, and we're talking, and she was telling me she doesn't often bring like her phone into her booth. I'm starting to realize I might have to stop doing that because distraction is lit.
Also, the phone calls can cause interference in your system. So also it's good to keep your phone outside of the booth just because sometimes it can put static in your recording. And you may not know it. So yeah.
Pro tip.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I do, when I'm done a book, I have a dance party. I do that afterwards. Like I will put on some Lettucey and just dance for a whole song as a way of celebrating, that she's done. She was born into the world.
I love that. I'm like big on like rituals and like trying to curate my experience so that I'm putting the best foot forward. Because girl, listen, procrastination is a hell of a drug. And shout out to Janet Jackson because I am a part of procrastination. For sure. So I had to do that. This is her birthday and I love her. She's my favorite. All right. So this is a very cliche question, and I'm sorry in advance for asking this. But what does your dream narration project look like? Not limited to like this genre, or actually no limitations. Like you can construct the book project of your dreams for your voice to give life to. What would that look like for you?
Well, on one hand, I feel like I'm living the dream right now. I want to take a stab at writing. So in my mind, it's just hilarious, honey. It's just a good old rom-com, and I'm telling everybody business. So like, Ed, when I write this book, don't be mad when you read it or hear it and be like, wait a minute, was that me? Because it probably is. If it look like you, smell like you, and sound like you, it was you, girl. So that's something I'm thinking about. Like I have so many like crazy, funny, happy, glorious, like romantic moments in life and things that my friends have shared with me that I'm like, I want to tell that story. So that, I think that would be the next like level of the dream. But I'm pretty happy and content as it stands now.
I think for me, I agree. I'm already doing it. Like my last 3 books have just been pretty major for me. When a publisher can just say, hey, I got this for you. You want to do it? And I'm like, what? Let's go. And so I'll just say now, for some may know that Stacey Abrams, politician, wrote a book, and I did it. So when I can, get those kind of offerings, which are major. I mean, and what we do, it's not like we in the movie. Now that would be my dream, to go from the book to the movie. Right? Hey, the ultimate dream, that somebody, hears this and then it was like, well, who's that? And can we fit her in this over here and bring both of my artistries together? Now that would be Thank you, Lizette. That would be the dream, for me, to mesh those things together. But I agree with Wesley. I'm doing it. You just never know what's going to come your way and how people are going to respond, and you just don't know. And I know, like, this past, I can't remember, I was literally working 7 days a week for 2 months because I was getting such great projects that I was like, okay, I can fit that in. Okay, right there. Okay, I'll move that right there. Okay, I'll work on Sunday. Okay. And because it was a blessing. Yeah. So I have to say, I'm living it. And also the nicest part is we get to say what we want to do and what we don't want to do. Right. I can say I'm busy. But I am not. Yeah. But, I can decide I'm going on vacation for a month because I need a break. Mm-hmm. You can make those decisions. So that is a dream. Mm-hmm. I remember working for Postmates. Come on now. Yeah. Come on, somebody. Now I'm taking off for a month and I'm good. Right. So, that in itself is the dream. Yeah.
Can you just lean forward a little bit? Because I just want to just rub your shoulder to just touch the hem of your arm, so I can, the levels of success. You understand? The levels of success. I'm just trying to touch the hem. But no, I was actually going to bring up the Stacey Abrams project, not to speak about it in detail or anything, but so did y'all know that she actually has roots in romance?
Yes, I
did that.
Yeah. So she was actually a romance writer. She wrote under a pen name, Selena Montgomery, back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I want to say more early 2000s. Back when BET had like those BET arabesque books. And then they would do like the film to TV thing. I really wish BET would bring that back. I feel like a broken record because I've been saying that a lot this week, just in conversations that I've been having, because they had the publishing company that was in conjunction with the channel. And so they would adapt books from writers that were published under that publishing company and create made to television films. And I've been rewatching some of them very recently, just for some other projects that I'm working on for my podcast. And I was just like, man, like, why is this not like still like the jam? Like, why are we not still doing this? But I think a thing that's kind of dope. And I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to give you a chance to answer that previous question as well, Ebony, because I just kind of like hopped in here, is that we have this sort of opportunity to not have to rely on like major film industry people to sort of make those things happen. Like a great thing about sort of the indie space and the opportunities in the path that, these authors are sort of carving out for themselves is that, if a, Alexandria House or Christina C. Jones or Jacinta Howard, like decide, you know what, I want to go out and turn my book into film. And they start the process of, going through and doing the adaptation and all of that stuff. And they do it on their own. Like, I just think that there are so many opportunities for, that, dream that you were speaking about, Adenrele, for that to be a reality, for not only for you to give voice to Jolena in the audiobook form, but, for a house to be like, yo, I know you be acting and stuff. So what's up? So,
I'm down from your lips.
Listen, like, I really like, it's really a selfish thing on my part. Because like I consume so much like romance media and all of that stuff, and I just really want more and more of it to be out here. And so, I'm gonna just put that in the universe and do what you do, Lord. Your will, I'm just lobbing up suggestions. But I would love to see like that become a reality because like honestly, like I can just see the progression being so natural and being just really dope to witness. So it's my little 2 cents anyway.
all of that. I agree. I concur. Piggyback. Yeah, yeah. It's great being in my little box, as I call it now. um, it's great to be able to do it, at home on my own time. As my schedule permits, to wake up when I want to luxuriate and take my time preparing myself and my spirit and my self for, long hours of recording, but to know that I'm doing it, on my time and doing the work for myself. It just feels really, really affirming, especially at a time, I don't know what I would have done without audiobooks during COVID. Honestly, this has literally, people ask in other Zooms all the time, like what is taking care of you during COVID, what has saved you during COVID. And I oftentimes just say audiobooks, it's been great. So yeah, it is the dream in itself. Yeah.
If any of you guys in the audience have questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I will pop them up here for the ladies to answer. This time is actually going way slower than I anticipated, and I'm almost out of my little questions. But selfishly, I don't want to let y'all go because I'm just, it just really feels like me hanging out with my cousins. Y'all are all my cousins now. Just so cousin Ebony, cousin the dinner relay, cousin Wesley, it's
Hey, boy, hey, cousin.
That's right. I always say that I'm literally the internet's cousin, because after talking to people for a smooth, oh, look who's in the house. Speaking of, Miss House.
Hey.
But yeah, that's true. Like audiobooks definitely save sanity, pocketbooks, like real life. So I am an outdoor cat, right? So, COVID really forced us to be inside way more than I am used to. And it sort of made us come to a standstill for, that beginning part of it, when everything was so uncertain and everything was, up in the air. And that's really probably when I really got a deep dive into audiobooks, because when I would be struggling with writing, I'd be like, you know what, let me go read somebody else's words and figure out, what's happening over there. And maybe, my brain will get it together. And so I just honestly really respect the craft. I told Wesley when I hopped on a thing that she had done with this group of ladies who does this revolving clubhouse thing, that you guys' ability to not only just be amazing actors and imbue life into these characters, but also to have the tenacity to sit down in your booth for X amount of hours and get through it. I had to read a 2-minute snippet of something, and y'all, I promise you, your girl didn't make it. I was like, this is the longest 2 minutes of my freaking life, yo. I don't know how they do it, because listen, girl, God bless y'all. You understand? I'm gonna pop some of these questions up from the audience because they are coming in rather swiftly, and I don't want anybody to be forgotten or neglected. So our first question is from Miss Janan, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. She wants to know, how did everyone get started with narrating?
I started narrating 14 years ago, and I was in a African American theater company in Los Angeles, and a publishing company at the time was looking for, I guess, a new African American actress. They found our website, reached out, said, "Hey, anybody interested in, audiobooks? And if so, contact." And I did. And I reached out, was like, hey, why not? I'd never listened to audiobooks, was never into audiobooks, wasn't even paying an audiobook any mind. And I just knew it was a new art. I'm an actor, and why not? And I can tell stories. And I made an appointment. I went in, and they said it was for a slave story. So I went in and they gave me this copy and I'm reading it. You know, this is fresh. I did it straight there. And I'm like, this ain't no slave story. This like a sci-fi. Like, what is this? So, but I did it, you know, whatever. And then they were listening. And then they came and said, can you read these pages? And that was the slave story.
Mm.
And I booked the sci-fi first, which was a George R.R. Martin, if anybody watches Game of Thrones. So I booked that first, and then I did the slave story second. And I have been going ever since, but life ain't been no crystal stair. It is not.
Hey, that has some facts in it.
It has not been going like this for all my years of doing this. So I don't even want to get it twisted thinking like, oh, I got it and boom. No, it was like, wow, I got one book this year. Okay. So, there has definitely been a journey from 2007 to 2021, but that's how I got started.
Okay.
I was dating a dude and he was.
I love when the story starts like that. I was dating.
Hold on. Speak slowly. Hold on. Speak slowly so I can take notes. I need a story idea.
Me too, Nicole. Me too.
Okay, what have you done for me lately? No. I was dating someone who was into it, and I was like, put me on, and he did. And introduced me to a producer who brought me in, and she was just amazing. Sat down with me for days and days, and we talked, and she helped me record a demo, and she gave me all this information, all these resources, and ended up helping me book my first book that I did in 2019. And then I did another one that I was on co-narrating in 2019. And then I didn't do anything else until COVID.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I was in pursuit of something else. You know how God works. Like the prayer went up, I started going this way. God was like, come here. And someone asked me if I had ever thought about a mentor of mine. She asked me if I was interested in audiobooks, and I was like, say more. And so she put me in touch with someone. I did some coaching with a narrator and just started working with a lot of different people. I had like 3 women in the beginning that just kind of, one was like giving me all the narration skills. Somebody else was, giving me like the technical stuff that I needed. And somebody else was just putting me on to networking, like how to network in this business. And I just did everything that they told me to do. And one book turned into 3 turned into, this is just what I do now. So it was a lot of work. Like it was a good 6 to 9 months of just straight practice before I even got my first book. Just weekly, like going into a studio to work with different engineers just to get feedback and creating a demo. And it was a grind, but once it got going, it was good.
Okay, the next question is, how often do you get to connect with your peers and learn from each other? Narrating seems super fun, but also isolating.
So I'll start that one. Well, when I was on the West Coast, I saw my peers more often because I was in the studio. So I would see each other coming and going. We do have audiobook events, specifically 2 major events. One is called APAC, Audio Publishers Association Conference. And then there's the Audies, which is our Oscars for audiobooks. So, which is something, if y'all have not been, get yourselves there. The next time we can, we come in public, where we can come together again, because it is the networking place to be. And we all show up and like to do our, girls of color, our Black girl magic photos and get together. And it is a great time because you connect with other narrators, you connect with other publishers, producers. So that is like our big event. And then there are conferences with panels and all that kind of stuff on one day. And the next day is the award show and everybody is drinking and having a great time. And then through this, you make relationships. So sometimes I have colleagues, just because of the relationships that we formed, they may have a Christmas party and I'm invited, or a birthday party. And so you start those relationships just by being around and getting to know people. So we do come together. I think COVID has put a, kibosh on that for the moment, but I am, going to claim that we will be back in that space again. To come together and hug and touch and all of that.
Right. I reached out to my big sister Wesley, and Elle Clevedon. We're all sisters in this, and it's just been a lot of great information, picking their brains about their journeys and their processes and their goals. It's affirming and exciting to cheer for each other and see what folks are doing. So yeah, I'm in their business.
Yeah, I feel that. I kind of see people as I want to, obviously via Zoom. But we have low standing weekly little appointments. I have several with different groups of people. And there'll be moments when I'm recording and I'll be like, yo, I have to call Manuel. I'll be like, Manny, did you get to this part in the book? Call me when you get to this part. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm a bit of a social butterfly. I need people. So I'm constantly texting and calling. If we friends, even if I just met you, you probably got a voice memo from me. All of y'all probably got a voice memo from me at some point. So I don't know. I just I get lonely. I get so lonely.
Come on,
so
all the minute references are really giving me what I need today.
We still have to do our talk, Wesley.
I know. We will.
Okay. K.L. McGee asks, narrators, do you have or establish relationships with your authors when narrating projects?
Say that again.
Do you have or establish relationships with your authors when narrating projects?
It's always best when you do. For me, when I first started, it just felt taboo to reach out to an author. But then when authors started to hit me up directly, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I could just, I was on the phone last night with Stephanie Nicole Norris, okay? Sorry I put that out there, Stephanie. But we just be talking. And I love it. Because I fangirl, you know what I mean? And then I learned so much from them about the work. And it's crazy too, because in particular, talking to Stephanie, when I go back to her work, I see her all over it. I can see her all in it. So I value the connection and the fact that I can call them and text them and just build with them the same way I can other narrators.
I'll say most of the time, I won't say I have a relationship, but I'll get a connection. If this comes through a publisher, most of the time, so I've actually met some of my authors after the fact. Oddly enough, I did this one guy's book and he was in my session because I was doing his mother and he used a different name. And then when it all came down to it, I was like, oh my gosh, I know your mother and your mother knows my father. So it's really crazy. When all that, I was like, wait a minute. But that's rare to have an author in my session. But most of the time when there's a publisher involved, they will let me know who my contact is. We're not always allowed, not always in the best decision to reach out directly to an author. So if you are an author and you want to have a relationship with the narrator and you're going through a publisher, you should say that. If the narrator has any questions, have them reach out to me. I don't have a problem with that. I would love to talk to them, blah, blah, blah. If you as the author want that relationship. We as the narrators going through a publisher can't really do that unless they tell us that we can. That can come off as just not professional.
Okay.
And there have been things that'll go out that says, hey, do not contact my authors directly. If you have questions, anything down to anything you don't understand, you're not sure how to pronounce, you let me know or us know, and we will reach out to that author for you. Now, if I'm working with you independently, which I've had authors hire me independently, then yes, it's me and you in this thing together.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to a publisher or a producer, there is always a protocol in place. And I would recommend that, one does not take it upon themselves to tweet, Facebook an author without direct permission from the public, those that hired you.
But then we're like, what if the author hit me up?
That's different. If the author
hit me up,
that's the thing. It's coming from the author. So if the author hits you up and says, hey, blah, blah, whatever they want to say, that's totally fine. I would also let your publisher, if you came through a publisher or a producer, I would let them know, just to save you, to say, hey, so-and-so hit me up and we talked about this. So I just want to let you know. So they are always in the know of what's going on, which saves you. So you just never want the story to get twisted.
I don't be telling them. I'll start telling them. I don't. I be like,
it's not like tattletelling. It's just
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Right.
No, but that's a pro tip for real. Like authors, say y'all love us and y'all want to talk to us directly.
It's funny. I don't know if it's funny, but I have a story about that recently happened. So there's an author who follows me on Instagram, and I follow her because she followed me, and it was like cool. But I hadn't worked with her, and I got an email from the publisher asking me to narrate her book, and I was like, oh great. So when I was reading it, I had a question about the book, and it was late at night, and like based on our Instagram sort of rapport, I kind of noticed that she posts at night sometimes. So I just slid in her DM and asked the question. And then I got in my head about it. And I was like, wait, is that appropriate? Should I not? And I went and deleted the message. What she messages me is like, I saw there was a message from you, but it's not there anymore. And then I told her I deleted the message. I didn't know if it was appropriate, but it was my question. So you're such a goof. But thank you.
Okay.
Christina C. Jones, who make it so, easy to chat with them or to reach out. Kennedy Ryan, they're just like really great and easy to talk to. So I kind of assume that everybody's that approachable.
Yeah.
Note taking.
And sometimes like, well, I don't know, this might be saying too much, but if I got a quick question, I don't be wanting to go through the pub. I shouldn't say that.
We'll strike that from the record.
What could take me 10 minutes is going to take you, 3 days. And I'm just like, oh my God. But a dimmer light is right. Sometimes I just be a rule breaker, and I might get in trouble for that.
Look, let me tell you real quick. So there was one book I did, and when I got the name, I was like, why do I know that I know her? And we've been Facebook friends for years. I've been on her email list for like years. And I just did a conversation with her, about a week ago. But when I told them this, I said, oh, I know her. We've been, we in the same industry. She thought I know. And there ain't nobody come back and say, okay. So when I had a question, I went to my publisher.
Yeah.
Even though I knew her. Because other than that, the better way to say it is, because she and I hadn't been connecting around this book, the better way to say is, I know her. Would it be okay if I reach out to so-and-so? In your case, Ebony, you done already established, y'all been chit-chatting and all of that. So get your question out. Like, that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. But because you've already established that relationship, go ahead and, get your, question out. But in something like that, when the book was offered, I would have been like, oh, yeah, cool. We've been talking behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. I'm excited. So now they know y'all been already communicating. So everybody's aware. That would just be my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Okay, so this next question from Tracy, I'm going to be 100% honest, girl. I almost ignored it. Because you in my business and I don't like that. But no, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. TBD. I hope sometime soon. I don't know 100%. You know, things got to get worked out behind the scenes, but you know, God willing, and the creek don't rise. You know, soon enough. Soon enough. I think you guys kind of answered this question about the narrator support squads teams when we talked about you guys sort of connecting with everyone. But I just wanted to acknowledge, hey, Miss Ronnie, I see you.
Just so you know, we actually do have a narrator support group. We do. We actually do, because we go through a lot. Like
I'm
this,
sure.
People don't realize sometimes sitting in an isolated space, you're not meant to read for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Daily, sitting here alone, reading, flipping through. You are the whole movie. You're all the characters in the movie, and the you know, the narrator and everybody else. You the whole thing. You the music. You the set design. You the everything. So, you know, as we sit here, it is sometimes, it can honestly take a toll on you. As much as we love to do what we do, it can really take a toll on you. And so we actually do, ladies, if you don't know, have a support group
That's enough.
for narrators. Holla at me off the screen. Seriously. Because we need it. Sometimes I'm like, therapy.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
Self-care is so important, and you know, I think we get sort of caught up in like the rat race of, you know, wanting to be successful and wanting to make sure that we are being seen in whatever lane we're in. And you get so caught up in that you can kind of lose yourself a bit. So like having those people to be able to check in with, you know, on professional and personal levels just really goes so far. And listen, I'm the self-care queen. I will light a candle, put on some pink noise, and be in here crying and waving sage, like just having a moment. You understand? Like, because sometimes you just need that. Like, you really freaking do. So, okay, this is an interesting question. Is there a particular book that you want to record, even if it has already been recorded by someone else?
No.
I always have the thought that I would love to re-record all my books.
That's one. Now that's it.
Re-record them knowing then what I know now. Like, you know, not like I have, you know, a massive catalog, but you know, it'd be like, all right, that'd be nice to redo. But yeah, but
I know that feeling.
It's almost like you're psychic.
What was that? Oh, can I do that again?
Yeah. Not yeah.
So do you guys listen like to the completed book after, like, obviously, you know, to catch whatever, but after like the work has been out in the world, like, do you ever revisit your work?
In the beginning, I used to like listen because I missed the characters. Like I missed Asha and King from Annie Up, and I was missing. Well, I just thought Naughty Nasty was so funny. I was like, I need to hear it. I never listened to an entire book, but I do check in. I just feel like I'm checking in with my friends. Like that Prototype series, I missed them kids for so long. So, but nah, I don't even have time to listen to a whole audiobook. Like,
yeah. I don't listen. I don't have time. I don't have time to read a book for pleasure.
Right.
Alone, listen to myself. I do listen. Sometimes there's books that I just want to hear for pleasure. And also I'll listen to a certain degree and then I just get distracted. Mm-hmm. And there's other things I like to listen to because when I like to make myself aware of. So whether it's pacing, whether I'm over diction, whatever it might be, whether I break up sentences weirdly. And so there's things that you just start to learn about yourself and you go, oh no, you need to get a big breath, make it to the end of that period, or figure out where to break that sentence up so it doesn't sound disjointed. And so I will listen for that. And then when I have a director, I may say, hey, I have a habit of doing these things. Can you please look out for that so I can, so we don't do that. If you hear it, please correct me. So that kind of stuff.
Generally, do you do that though, like in the moment, like while you're recording?
What?
Or do you like what you said, the way you kind of like just kind of check in with things that you know you want to work on? Do you like record and then go back and listen just to see?
I don't always necessarily record and say, okay, let me listen to what I did. I have times when I'm recording and let's say I make a mistake and I want to go back and fix the mistake and I'm listening to what I just did and I go, wait, why does it sound like that? I'm like, oh, I don't like that. So then I go back and listen a little bit more and I go, oh, no. I'm going back and re-record it like a whole page or 2 pages because I didn't like what I did. And I'm like, oh no, this is awful. And I'm like, okay, you need to do this or, whatever I feel that needed to be done, I will go back and do it if I can catch it. If I can catch it, I will go back and whether it's make it more conversational, something, I will do that.
See, I think I would feel like if I went back and listened to stuff, I would probably be like, and I need to re-record it all. Like I don't like take it off the shelf.
Can't. We don't have time for that.
And that's probably why it takes me 42 years to record one book. I listen to it all, and I'll be like, "You're trash. Why are you been doing this? What are you doing?"
But we're artists, right? Like we're constantly in create mode. It's never done.
I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit.
You better know it. Chanel asks if you guys listen to your co-narrators parts.
Okay, I have done that.
Like, I don't listen for pleasure. We have to work together and we need to be in the same vein.
Yep.
So it's going to be odd if somebody is down here doing a really deep voice and I'm doing a high voice, whether it's male, female, whatever. So somebody went and did the country accent and the other person didn't do the country accent. And you're like, oh, shit. So, in that way, I will correspond with my co-narrator, male, female, or whomever, and say, hey, depending on when are you starting? And try to at least go through, because we all on different schedules here. So at least try to go through and, give them some snippets of, they'll say, hey, I need this one, and this one. So I'll try to go through, find it, read a little bit to see what the feel is for that character. Because I can't give you a snippet if I ain't read the book yet.
Right.
So you about to go into the studio and I'm still working on the last project. So it's you get the snippets. So sometimes I say to them, you get the character, give it to me, and I'll just have to do what you did.
Yeah.
And your energy.
And take your energy for what you came up for my character, because I can't get to you fast enough.
Yeah.
But I will listen. So I'm like, okay, I know where I can find your pocket and what I do from on my end. So yeah.
I love the audacity of this question. She said if she plans a party for her birthday in October, will all of you come? So listen, says depending on when and where. I'm booked and busy the last weekend of October, but one of my friends is getting married, so I'll be there for that. But any other time, girl, just let me know. Just holler at me. I'll just be down to the house, not writing books no more. Alex House says she appreciates the work that Aden Relay and Wesley have done on her books, and she's looking forward to working with Ebony in the future.
Thank you.
Listen, Eileen wants to know where the men narrators are. Booked and busy, child. We had to figure out the time that worked the best for everyone. And unfortunately, there were, conflicts. So, I might do another one of these round tables where it's just me and all the dudes.
Ooh,
That would be interesting.
I like that.
Particularly with these characters in the audience. Shout out to the diamonds and the maniacs and all that good stuff. This is the question I was actually going to ask. Kay Omigi says, the sex scenes can get steamy. Do you have to prepare differently for those?
I don't.
No. I'm in the moment. I'm just going with it. Now, I will say this one time.
This about to be the juice.
I'm about to do some tea. So, okay. So this character, this nasty ass man, he done came from gotten his little something on with somebody else. And then he come meet up with this other chick in the car. Now he ain't took a shower or nothing. So he sit up there and he's like, getting his little, getting a little head on in the book. And so he releases, she wants to put the window down and spit it out. Well, he done locked the door. Oh, this gay.
No, he didn't.
So I said to my engineer, so she trying to talk with a mouthful. I was like this. I'm trying to fake it. I'm nothing to do my line. I said, hold on. So I was like this.
That's art.
So, in that regard, I did have to do a little preparation because I was like, this is not working with this fake thing going on. So I was like, let me get my water and, put a little bit something in my mouth. So that kind of way, you might have to do a little preparation.
Oh,
You have some little extra steamy things going on.
It's the commitment to the character.
Right.
You dropping all this knowledge.
I know.
You dropping all this knowledge. Me and Ebony about to be taking sips and shit. We trying to follow the queen. Okay?
Wait a minute though. Not everybody in the audience being like, sis, drop the title of that book.
Yeah. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yeah.
They gonna find it.
They gonna find it. Nicole,
Y'all can stop asking in the comments, sis. She said she's not. It's not going. It's not going. Oh man,
Nicole, I might have to leave you soon, girl.
Okay, we're almost done to wrap up anyway. Because I'm looking at the timer and we're coming up on my allotted 90-minute time slot that I had allotted for this. And low-key, that feels like a really good place to end.
I want to add something I think is really important. I think this is a great time to educate our listeners a little bit on our business. So many of us, as we do this genre, this really extra steamy genre, use pseudonyms. They do it across the board. The men, women, we use pseudonyms. And I have seen sometimes where people feel like that sounds like this person or that sounds like that person. I have seen reviews on Audible for my colleagues. And I wanted to share because I remember one review was like, why are they trying to fool us? We know who they are. And I'm like, and we love you for knowing. But what I want to say to that is people got families.
Yeah.
They on PTA. They in a church choir. They do other things in their life. So it is never about trying to fool a listener. It is just about other opportunities and other things that are going on in one's life. So if you think you know who someone might be because you listen to a book in this name and then you hear something else in another name and go, I would just say be mindful before you go on Facebook or Twitter or any of these and say, hey, I think that's so-and-so. And then you tag in all and, So I just wanted to take this moment to educate why many narrators do that, because they still want to bring you all this great stuff that you love so much and you love listening to, but they need to protect whatever else is going on back here that has nothing to do in this particular moment. So enjoy it for what it is. If you hear something else that they've done and you go, I think that is, enjoy that too. Have a good old time with everything that you listen to, but just wanted to just, bring that to your attention of why you may hear that may come up and you go, And so there are many reasons why it happens. I've seen people asked to get switch names because they went from doing this to a Christian book and they can't be under the same name.
Yeah.
You can't be doing what I just did, gurgle, 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 and then talking about some, hey, dear Lord, praise Jesus. So, it doesn't cross sometimes. It really just doesn't. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit with you guys. So if you ever come across that or think you know something and you could be right, you could be wrong. But that might be a reason why. So I want to share that.
Yeah, as someone who is largely on the internet, not as her own name, I respect that. Like, you have to give people their space to be who they are and to operate in the ways that they need to operate in order for their lives to be successful. And quite frankly, like, isn't part of the fun of like knowing like a little secret or a tidbit about, someone you may be a fan of, like, isn't part of the fun of that to, have that thing to hold on to is like, oh, I have this unique like fact about this person that I know. So definitely, respecting those boundaries and ensuring that you're not blowing up somebody's spot. Like, just, I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard at all. And I think that, for the most part, people just don't think like pass go. That excitement sort of takes over and it drives them. They want to be like, oh, did you know? And it's like, okay, so it's like, maybe think about why this is happening.
Right.
So I'm so glad that you brought that up because that is absolutely something that people need to take into consideration and keep top of mind for all that. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Y'all type so fast. Your fingers be moving. Thank everybody on the panel and in the audience for showing up and showing out.
Thank you for doing this, girl. This was
like
seed that you let bloom into a beautiful flower.
Listen, we talked about it. Like, Wesley was one of the first people that I reached out to because well, I won't say the reasoning behind this coming to fruition, but at least publicly. But what I will say is that I'm glad that all of you guys were so open and willing to come on and do the. Y'all ain't know me from a can of paint. I just really slid into inboxes like, hey, girl, you don't know me, but I know you. What's up? And so, graciously, all of them were like, yeah, absolutely, girl. Just let us know, what you need, which is something that I just really find heartening because the overall pervasive narrative is that we're always in contention with one another, and so to be in this space and to have these sort of mutually beneficial relationships and seeing that you're coming from your side, I'm coming from my side, but we're all coming together to create this experience that the readers are going to benefit from the most because they're the ones who are a fan of the work however they come to it. So thank y'all so much. Y'all funny. The clavicle for me. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let this go. But yeah, like I said, thank y'all so much. I probably will try to do this again with the Meanses and stuff, if their schedules permit, since apparently there's some necessity for that. I see a couple people asked in the audience, so I'm gonna try and work it out and get it together and see if we can get these brothers come bless your screens and give you what you need. But thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and let this go. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.